Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Saturday. I'm Leslie Watkins. I hope everybody's well on this holiday weekend. I know that folks have a lot of plans, lots of things to do. On top of all of the other things, I also have a birthday that I want to make a little card for. And we've got a lot going on with the catalog because we're getting into the middle of the month of April. The new annual catalog is going to be released on May the 2nd. And so if there's something in the old catalog that you've had your eye on for a while or that you think you might like to have, now is the time to get it because inventory is running out. There's a lot of things that are already gone, and you want to get these things while supplies last. I'm going to be using this bundle today. This is the suite was called Hues of Happiness, and it was very popular at the time when the catalog first came out. It's still a stunning stamp set to have, and the stamp features 3 different roses, or actually 4 different roses, some little clusters of flowers and some leaves and some really beautiful sentiments that are written in this beautiful swirly kind of script with these wonderful tails at the front and the back, and so I really like that quite a lot. And this month in the Watercolor Card Club, and the subscription is still open, there's still time for you to sign up, we're going to be painting roses. Now, in the Watercolor Card Club, I will paint with either watercolor or inks. And if you are a paper crafter and you'd like to join and you'd like to tune up your watercoloring skills, you are more than welcome to join us and use the re-inkers that we use for the stamp pads because they work just like liquid watercolor. They're great. And I thought I would do a double this month, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to paint the subject, which happens to be roses this month, and I'm going to paint it in ink so that this birthday card that I'm going to make is going to do double duty. Not only will I have a nice card at the end of the lesson today, but I'll also be able to give paper crafters an idea of how they could use the re-inkers. So let me show you what I have prepared. For tools, I have the water painters. I've stamped the image using Flirty Flamingo ink. So here is the image, and this looks a lot like the composition that I put together for the Watercolor Card Club watercolor version. So you've got one large open rose, another one off to the side, and then a bud in the upper right hand corner. So we're following the same composition. Here's that stamp set. You can see it a little bit better here, and it also comes as a bundle, and it has these great dies. So not only do you have all the framelits that will cut out the various flowers and the leaves, but you've also got these really interesting notebook borders, so you can make the edge of your paper look kind of like a notebook page. So whether it's a spiral bound or one that has those wider coils that go through it. And then you've got this beautiful, very intricate kind of a lattice design. So beautiful dies, great stamp set. And I've also got out my stylish shapes dies, and these are a wonderful set of dies to have in your toolbox because they do 2 different things. So when you cut out a shape and I'm not sure, let me zoom you in so you can see this a little bit better. The cutting blade is in the center, and what happens is that little stitching detail not only is on the shape that you cut out, but it also is on the window that you cut the shape out of. So extremely useful dies to have, and these are absolutely indispensable for making window cards or window boxes, because you can place the squares or the circles wherever you want and cut out an aperture. So I'm going to show you that a little bit later. So that is the plan. I've got my palette here ready to go, and I just have yellow, red, blue, and yellow again. I have yellow at the same yellow at both ends just to make mixing a little bit easier. And that's all I'm using. I'm just using the three primaries, red, yellow, and blue. And for my brush, I'm just going to start with the medium brush, and I'll take out the little brush just in case I need that. So as I mentioned, I pre-stamped my image, and this time I used the shimmery white paper. Unfortunately, shimmery white is one of the products that is no longer available. It is not carrying over, and they have sold out of inventory. But you can still use your Fluid 100 watercolor paper for this. That will work just fine. And if you don't have the Fluid 100, you could do the same thing with cardstock using colored pencils and a blender pen. And then I also have my very vanilla card base, an envelope, and I've got a piece of vellum. So I'm just going to put these aside to protect them for the time being. So I don't want any splashes to get on them. And then I'm going to zoom you in, and I'm not going to talk a lot today. I'm just going to kind of paint this fast so I don't keep you too long, because it's a busy weekend. Oh my goodness, I see there's people out there. So good morning, Carol. Hi, Ginger. Hi, Vicki. Hi, Beverly. All right, well, I was surprised. I thought everybody'd be out doing last minute shopping or whatever you do to prepare. What are you all doing for this weekend? We have a kind of a combined Easter, birthday, Passover, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm starting with my bigger water painter, and I'm just going to I'm just painting with plain water now. I just want the pink from the stamp to bleed a little bit. And actually, I'm going to also use my stamp case because I have some ink in the lid here, so I can pick some up from there. So just a very light wash. I'm going to keep this painting very soft, very delicate today. And I'm going to add a little, just a drop of yellow to the center of my flower. And I'll go ahead and I'll do that over here too. I'm just going to let that color kind of swirl around. The inks and the watercolors are, you handle them the same way, but they respond a little bit differently from one another because depending on what kind of watercolor it is that you're using, it could be a mineral color or an earth color, and the inks are primarily dye colors, and so they have a slightly different way of moving on the paper, and of course the kind of paper that you use is also going to affect how the paint moves as well. So you just have to experiment. Now, if you'd like to learn more about painting with watercolor and inks and all the different techniques and the kinds of papers and different results that you can get, you may want to check out the Watercolor Card Club. It's a subscription club, and you get a kit each month in the mail. You also get a video tutorial and an invitation to join our Facebook page where you can share your paintings with everybody else and see what everybody else is doing. It's a fantastic group of people. And there is a live Zoom each month at the end of the month that you can ask questions in. So I will have all that information at the end of the video. I'll post that in the description. But if you're in a hurry and you want to check it out sooner, you can go to my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com, and there you will find the information about the Watercolor Card Club and how you can subscribe. So I'm just making my way around to get a little bit of color on all the flowers. And if you have any questions at all, I will be checking the comments today, so go ahead and type your questions in the comments section. And I will do my best to give you a good answer. All right, so there are my flowers started. Now I'm going to take some of my yellow, drop of yellow, and I'm going to mix it with a drop of blue to get a pale green. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you could stamp these leaves in a green color. I didn't bother because I know that the ink is going to melt and blend with the wet ink, so it's really not that important. You just want to use a ink that's light. Okay, you don't want to get too dark. You want to avoid outlines. I'm going to go right over that stem. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so that's the basic painting established. One of the things that I'll be talking about this month is doing a thumbnail sketch, which is just a little quick version of whatever it is that you're working on to help prepare you for your finished painting. So you can use the little thumbnail sketches to get your design worked out. You can use it to figure out where you're going to be placing the subjects on your paper or your surface. You can figure out where your values are in terms of lights and darks, and map out your color and figure out some of your color mixtures. So the thumbnail studies are an absolutely fantastic tool to help you get better planned, better designed pictures. And they don't have to be much smaller than this. Okay, so that is my first wash of color. And that's how it looks so far. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up a slightly darker green. I'm just adding a little bit more blue to the color I already have mixed on my paper. And I'm just going to begin painting my leaves. Now if you like, you can add some detail to those leaves. So as many of you know, the rose leaves have that beautiful little toothy edge, so you can indicate a little bit of that if you choose. So I'm just going to do that here and there, just with the tip of my brush. I'm just making my way around. Now those of you who have been following me for a little while may know that I am really nearsighted, and when I'm painting something under the camera, I'm kind of guesstimating what I'm seeing, and so after the video I may touch them up a little bit when I can see better, but I think I'm giving you enough information here to help you get started. And so just know that, you know, if you paint something and you want to put it aside for a little while and then come back to it later, you can always do that and have a fresh eye and see what may need to be done to help improve your picture. But having said that, many times the unfinished picture is often the more successful one. So don't feel compelled to do an absolutely finished version each time. You know, if you're not sure what to do, then put the brush down and stop and go check your messages, have some lunch, and then come back to it when you're sure you know what else you want to do. Now I want to fill in this area with a little bit of a light tone. So I'm going to go back to my paler green. Excuse the noise in the background. Those guys aren't outside yet because it's still freezing at night, but very soon. I'm just putting a little bit of a wash fill in these spaces, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that trail off. So for instance, over here I can take some plain water and just sort of let that disappear. Okay, so there's a nice vignette. Now I'm going to go back into those flowers and just add a few more darker tones and we'll be done. Now, I can only get so dark with the Flirty Flamingo ink, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my darker red. And just kind of get in there. Alright, and then I also don't want to neglect the inside of my flowers, so I can put a little bit of indication there of the texture of the stamens and the pollen. Okay, I think that's enough for now. So there's the painting. Actually, there's one more thing I'd like to do. I'd like to indicate some more leaves behind here. So I'm just going to do a little bit of loose painting just to sort of indicate some shapes. So just a kind of an abstract of a leafy bouquet in the background. There we go. Okay, so I've completed my picture. I'm going to put this aside to dry for just a few minutes. I didn't use too much water on it, so it shouldn't take too long to dry. And while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and get my card ready. So let me move these things out of the way. I've got my happy birthday sentiment mounted up on my block, and with my Stylish Shapes dies, I'm going to take this circle die that's third from the outer edge, now I've already mounted a pink mat on the outside of the card, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to flip this over so that the mat's on the inside. And I'm going to go ahead and give that crease a good burnishing. My painting is going to go inside the card, something like this. And I'm going to use this circle to cut out a window. And that window is going to go, and I'm just going to get I'm going to use my ruler to get a measurement on this. So let's say about 1.5 inches from the right edge and about 1/2 inch from the bottom. So I can get that situated, so about 1.5 inches from there and 1/2 inch from there. Doesn't have to be exact, but close enough. And I'm going to use a Post-it note to hold that in place. I've got my cut and emboss machine here. And I'm just going to run that through part way, just enough to cut out my circle shape. And I want to give you a close-up at how pretty this comes out. So I think you can see that detail that's both on the window and on the shape. Make sure I put my die back so I don't lose it. This I can use for a tag or some other project. This is what my card looks like so far. I'm going to go ahead and grab my happy birthday. And I'm going to put that just a little bit off center. And actually I'm going to test this ink. I just want to make sure that it's going to be dark enough. Yeah, I think that'll work. So because my circle is slightly off center, I'm going to put my happy birthday also slightly off center. And sorry if my head's in the camera. So there we go. There's my happy birthday. I lost a little bit of my birthday on the end there, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. If I had one of my blender pens, I could make that better, but we're going to keep moving. And I'm just going to dot around the edge of my artwork. that's centered in there. Alright, and so then the front of the card is going to look like this, but I want to soften this image a little bit. So I have a piece of vellum, and I'm going to use that like that. That will help to protect the painting as well as soften the color on the outside. So to attach the vellum, I'm just going to put a very thin line of glue along one edge. Get that centered. And that is my birthday card. So I hope that gave you some ideas. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a lovely holiday weekend. I hope you have a lot of fun. I hope you've got good weather, and there are lots of flowers and signs of spring all around you. And I hope I gave you some ideas and some encouragement to try painting with watercolor and ink, and that you will join me in the Watercolor Card Club, where you will learn much more. So stay well, stay happy, stay creative, and I will see you next time.